If you're running revenue or you're the person handling revenue systems at a B2B company,
you've probably seen this pattern. You hire the BDRs, you purchased Apollo, you spun up the sequencer, you added Clay. 3 months, you start seeing some activity, but then 6 months in, you still don't have predictable pipeline. You don't see anything, right? And your first instinct at this moment is to blame the layer that you can quote unquote visibly see. You'll look at the copy, the list, the tool, the SDR or the BDR, the agency that you hired, etc. Right? But the actual problem sits upstream on top of every one of those things that I just mentioned. So your team at the moment is just executing tactics on top of a foundation that was never even built in the first place. I've run Outbound for 45 plus B2B companies over the last 2 years, and I'll tell you this one single thing. It's almost never the tool, never the copy, and never the SDR. It was whether the team had done the upstream research work that defines who the ideal customer is and why they buy. That workflow, I'm going to call it manual market research. Almost nobody does it. The teams that I've seen do this, every founder that I talk to that does this, they are over 20 to 50 million a year in revenue, and they handle a very small team of 10 people, maybe 8 people. And these are people that I've successfully seen grow their company in less than a year and a half, right? And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how the best revenue teams build it. Okay, let's get into it. So who is this for? This is built for people who own the number at their company, who are some revenue people, right? So you're responsible for whether pipeline shows up, whether revenue closes. You're the audience for this set. Specifically CEOs or founders, and now you're scaling a B2B revenue engine. CROs or VPs of sales. You've hired BDRs. You bought the right tools, or VP or heads of growth. You own like the full revenue funnel. You just need a battle-tested ICP that every single team in the org can build from. And then marketing and RevOps leaders who are just, tired of running campaigns, people that sit between sales, marketing, and data. They know that the gap is real, but how do you fill that gap, right? That's exactly what we're going to talk about. And another thing, if you're looking for like tool level execution detail, you're not going to find it in this video. This is not some tactical playbook for SDRs or BDRs that specifically helps you write copy. No, it's not a tool tutorial. It's not a deep dive on any specific software in your stack that you should add to your stack. No, that's all in like separate videos. The work I'm going to walk you through sits above all of that. It is the strategic foundation every single tactical layer downstream of it depends on. Quick intro. Who am I? My name's Shop. I've been in outbound marketing close to 2 years. I've successfully run cold email campaigns for over 45 B2B businesses, ranging from startups to small enterprises. Generated over 4,700 meeting-ready leads for all of my clients to date. And cumulatively, we've helped all of them generate a $69 million confirmed pipeline and $11.5 million cash flow. And part of this video, I'm not here to sell you a tool. I'm here to walk you through the part of GTM that nobody does well. Almost nobody. There's a few founders that are very good at this. That's when I learned this from, right? And that everything else in your revenue engine kind of depends on it. You get this right, your sales team has something real to work with. You get this wrong, every dollar that you spend downstream amplifies the wrong assumption. Market research. Why is this part manual? If you're running revenue, probably notice that almost every part of GTM is being automated. Lists get built by this MCP connection through Clay. Enrichment goes through waterfalls, through Prospio, this, that, great. Cool. Market research is the exception. Specifically, the part of market research that matters most for ICP definition that simply cannot be automated. I don't know anybody that has successfully automated this and ended up being a very, very successful founder. Okay? It is structured as one-to-one conversations with people who already paid you
This is designed to extract why they actually bought in the first place, right? And here's why there's no tool that replaces this kind of work. Look at the input layer of a very serious GTM workflow. You have 4 streams that feed the ICP definition. You've got call recordings, closed one analysis, market research, customer interviews, right? 3 of those 4 can pretty much be automated to some degree. You could go ingest like Gong transcripts, Fathom transcripts, etc. At scale, you can cluster closed one deals into a single prompt and do all of this competitive intelligence from like the web. You go get X, go get Fireprog, do all of these things. Great. The 4th stream, the structured customer interview, requires a human on a Google Meet or a Zoom call asking the right questions if in the right order and listening for what the buyer is actually saying as much as what they are actually saying. Sorry, what the buyer is not saying versus what they're saying. I apologize. So there are 5 things, right? You got to understand the trigger event, the emotional state, the objection map that they had, the price ceiling, and what was the touch point that made them decide. I'm going to dot the I's, cross the T's, get to work, right? None of this data lives in your CRM. It should, but it doesn't, right? Let me just go a little bit more in depth and explain why you cannot skip this step. The cost of skipping this step is invisible until you go looking for it. It's like building Lego blocks without the foundation. You're not actually sticking the pieces. You're just making sure that one sits on top of the other. A strong breeze and it's all gonna like fall down. It's all gonna crumble, right? If you skip this, you're going to spend more on outbound to produce less pipeline. It is economically unfeasible for you to do this. You lose deals you should have won. You end up undercharging to compete in the marketplace by 20 to 50% across your book. You build features and deliverables your buyers simply do not care or do not use. Your sales team is going to spend time on accounts that were never going to close in the first place. Right? And then you could work with an agency, your BDR, your outbound program, right? It's very noisy because it's producing some activity, but you're like, why on earth does it not convert, right? None of these are problems that you fix with better tools or more headcounts or even a better agency. It's like an agency or a growth operator or a partner that understands the problems before you go, right? They are problems you fix by going back to the input layer, doing the work that pretty much nobody does. So what's this workflow? Let's just take a quick glance at this, right? This is a 7-step process, end to end. Takes about 3 to 5 weeks to batch the interviews. Most of the time on the calendar is pretty much coordination. You're going to email people, be like, hey, are you down to meet? 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'll send a Google Meet. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your CRM and you're going to pull every single profitable account that you've ever worked with. And you're going to segment those accounts before you even start calling anybody, right? And then rank each account by how easy they were to fulfill in the first place. This is what no one's going to tell you. Nobody's going to tell you this, right? And then you're going to book the calls, record every conversation, ask the 20 questions. I don't know if you guys have ever played the game 20 questions, right? So we're going to do some sort of 20 questions, except in this case, it's just not a yes or no. You actually want them to give you a very, very in-depth answer every single time, right? Next, we're going to run a Google form in parallel, just for redundancy, because sometimes you'll put in a notetaker like Fathom or Otter, whatever, and then it just doesn't get the transcription properly. So I'll keep a Google form. This is me personally. I'll always keep a Google form in parallel for redundancy whenever I run these calls. Right? The output at the end of this process is like a defensible, battle-tested ICP that's backed by real evidence from like real buyers. That ICP is pretty much going to be the input that drives every downstream decision your revenue org makes for the next 6 to 12 months, right? Again, I'm gonna stop y'all right there. This is not a one and done thing, right? No, absolutely not. This is not a one and done thing. You have to do this consistently every 6 to 12 months. If you're a bit more aggressive and you see that the market is sophisticating rapidly, you got to do it 3 to 6 months. I am not joking. You will thank me later. So What's step one? We're going to pull every profitable account you've ever worked with. Start with profit in mind, not revenue, right? Get every bit of information, CRM, invoicing tool, whatever, just get all the people, right? This list is going to be smaller than you think. That's fine. It's okay, right? Get the information, their name, industry, deal size, date closed, etc., all of this stuff. The second step of this process is you're going to segment the accounts before you even call anybody. Before you reach out to a single person from the list, just group them. The segmentation matters because I want to know what industry they're a part. What industry are they a part of? Right? Are they more SaaS? Are they more agencies? Are they more e-commerce Shopify brands? Or are they like a professional service? Are they like a white collar company? Are they like a blue collar service provider? But you know, you want to get all of this information as much as possible before you even make the call, right? And try and also have it split into deal sizes, right? Like, let's say you had a deal size, the LTV that they spent with you was under 10K, right? The LTV was within the 10 to 25K band. The LTV, that the total amount of money, the lifetime value, that's what LTV stands for if you're wondering. But someone watching this probably gonna know what it is, right? Just create those deal size bands as well, and have maybe a source channel. What is inbound? What is outbound? Like, who came from inbound? Who came from outbound? Just so that you understand the attribution rate from each of them, right? I know for a fact that every CMO obsesses over this attribution. And also consider sales cycle length. How quickly or how long did it take for you to onboard this person? How big was the engagement? Was this like a one-off thing that just took 2 months to fulfill? Was this like a 3-month engagement, or a 6-month, or a 12-month, or multiple years, etc.? Right? When you segment first, you can spot which segment you want to double down before the interview starts in the first place, right? Sometimes the answer is just obvious. A singular segment will have 10 times more profitable clients than the other 3 segments combined. You already know where your ICP lives at that point, right? So the interviews then just confirm that hypothesis, or they challenge that hypothesis, right? It goes from a blank canvas, I don't know what the hell is happening, to a binary decision. This is also the step that surfaces your anti-ICP, when you don't want to connect those unprofitable people, right? You just don't want to work with. It's so much better working with profitable people, right? And then the third step is we're going to rank each account very, very simply, just by fulfillment needs. How easy was it to fulfill working for them? High profit, high ease, they're truly, truly your ideal customers. The margins are so high, it's so predictable and so easy to deliver. The operational tax, perhaps, like the amount of crap that your CS team, customer success team, has to do, right? And then the other thing would be high profit, low ease, right? This is going to be like your warning sign. Revenue looks very, very good on paper. The operational cost is hidden in how much time your team is working on that specific account. If you take more than 10 of these, your team's probably going to break, right? So your ICP needs to filter those out. You shouldn't go towards them. The next thing, low profit, but high ease. This is going to tell you if you're underpriced or if you're in the wrong segment, right? Because at this point, if it's so easy to fulfill, you're probably just giving away too much value. I personally would ask you to adjust pricing, or convert it from like a done for you to a done with them type of a thing, or from a done with you to a do it yourself, like a coaching, or from coaching consulting to like a course, perhaps. Just a suggestion. Don't bite my ear, right? You also have to interview like 2 to 3 accounts from the high profit and low ease group, just so that you get that little bit of confidence. The next thing, record a free conversation with an AI note taker. I don't care what AI note taker you have, just have something. You want to walk away with 4 things: the full audio recording, the full transcript, Fathom gives you the whole video, etc., an AI generated summary, and searchable text that you can pull later when you start seeing patterns emerging across these interviews. Hey, we bought because of XYZ trigger. Everybody starts saying the same thing. There you go. you have more ammunition for your video sales lever. You have more ammunition for all the marketing material that you will ever need. Lead by solving that objection, or lead by looking for that specific thing, right? And then now let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this whole thing, right? I'm not gonna like read them all out loud, right? I'm just gonna pause. You can like pause my screen or something, pause the video, whatever you do, and look at the questions. So I would ask 20 questions that dig deeper. And the goal here is to not stop with these questions. If a specific question leads to more unsolved pointers, stop right there and dig deeper. No one's asking you to stop at these 20 questions. You need to be in a position to go and ask as much information that you can gather from this person as possible, right? So you have to understand the trigger and the awareness. This is going to tell you what created that buying window in the first place. Now, your signals that you detect at scale, this will be it, right? You have the trigger, you know what created the awareness. The second thing is the emotional state as a buyer. Pretty much, you just have to word it in a way that makes sense to the other person receiving it. It is the most important one in this section, according to me, right? Because the emotion they were carrying that is going to be the emotion your cold email has to match. The emotion that your ads has to match. The emotion your account-based marketing, LinkedIn DM has to match, right? What about problem and rationale? It tells you what they were actually buying, not what you were selling. Let me say that again. I'm gonna pause. And I'm gonna say that again. The problem and rationale section tells you what they were actually buying, not what you were selling. I'm not trying to like create a riddle or something here. I truly hope you understood that, right? And then the third thing is alternatives and competitors. This is usage confirmation. What similar solution did you try before working with this, right? Someone may have purchased it too, right? A tool that is very similar to what you do, but it's not a done for you service like what you do, right? Why did those alternatives not work? What made us stand out versus the competitors, right? And then you go to the decision-making process. This is going to tell you how the deals actually close inside of their company. What are some internal objections that came up during the decision-making process? Maybe the champion in that account was pushing for this deal to go through, but then the actual decision maker, like the person that dots the I's and crosses the T's, was like, no, it's not going to pay them that much. I'm just not going to do, and there would be a reason that emerges because of that, right? So the touchpoint question is the highest signal one in pretty much the entire interview. What was the specific touchpoint that made you sign with us? It's almost never what you assume. A founder told me once that an offhand comment in a Loom video was what closed her, right? And that comment became the opening line of the next 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 cold emails that I wrote for that client, right? What about pricing and value? There's a bunch of questions here. So this is going to reframe your pricing with actual data instead of guesswork, right? So you are priced appropriately according to the marketplace, and you're not either overcharging people nor are you undercharging people. What everybody normally does is they start undercharging their services, right? And then you ask questions about experience and future. Like, this is going to tell you what you need to keep, what are you going to fix, what to cut from your delivery and future product or productized services can take, right? Me personally, I love redundancy, right? I have a background in electrical and computer engineering. I'm always going to plan for redundancy. Sometimes, when I used to do this myself, I used to have Fathom notetaker there. And sometimes I forget to connect the Fathom notetaker to the meeting, right? So I run a Google form in parallel for redundancy, and now I started doing the Gemini meeting recording part of it as well. So I have two redundancies in place in case I mess up. This is just the redundancy plan for you. And then, what are some of the extraction patterns
that is going to allow you to refine the ICP. We're going to have all the interviews completed, the Google Sheet, the AI generated summaries. Run the pattern extraction.
Look at the language. That's your first pass. Second pass, look at the trigger, right? The third one, what is the objection? Now, the output of all three passes, I do this with Claude, man. Just throw all of it into Claude or something like that, or Claude code, and then ask it to return a refined underscore ICP underscore document for you.
You need to have 5 sections. Who they are, what triggered them to buy,
What problem,
they were trying to solve,
what objections they raised, what language they used, right? This is going to pretty much replace everything. And how this specific research leads into the rest of the system. This is going to help you define your ICP. This is going to help you create full total addressable market coverage. This is going to help you understand what are the data sources to use in the first place. This is going to help you understand what are some of the signals that you can look at. Do I get Teamfluence? Do I get Trigger? I have so many people that visited my website. Time to get RB2B, time to get Vector, time to get Warmly. See what I mean? Right? So what you're going to walk away with is a refined ICP document, a trigger thesis, a copy library, an objection map. This is going to pretty much help your sales team pre-handle the objections by so much. A pricing reference, a cut list, as in the features or deliverables that your buyers simply don't care. They're not using it. Why have it, right? And the next thing is like your defensible anti-ICP. The segment and accounts that literally should stop selling into, right? And this package becomes the source of truth across your revenue organization. Sales is going to be able to build from it. Marketing is going to be able to build from it. Customer success is going to be able to build from it. Product will be able to build from it. Every team will be able to work from the same evidence instead of guessing. Instead of every team operating off of its own hypothesis, right? The teams that win at this go-to-market, they're not the ones with the best tools. They're the teams with the clearest understanding of who their buyer is and why that buyer pays them. And this methodology that I have just explained is how you get there. Just to clarify, this was layer 1, the strategic foundation that sits above every single tactic in your GTM stack, right? Get this sorted first. Then we can talk about execution. And the next layer is execution, right? How are you going to build your full TAM? What are you going to do to detect signals at scale? How are you going to score accounts? How are you going to design certain scoring cadences? How are you going to automate this enrichment part? This is what I have covered in the top 10 GTM workflows in Cyclops. I'm going to link that video in the description below, right? So if you stayed until the end and you want the 20 question interview template, right? Or like the Google form template that runs alongside it, just send me a message on it, right? I'll be more than happy to share it. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.